Hello, everyone. I'm not hearing well today. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, much better, much better. How are you all doing?
Good.
Good. That's what yes. And if you're not, guess what? You're going to, right? We didn't do anything, right? Because people think it's a trick, and it's not. Go ahead,
It's
sir.
okay if we can restart.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
You want to restart the computer?
Yeah, I have
Oh,
to.
go ahead. Go ahead. We
gonna
can.
take a second.
We have a lot to talk about this. The message is never like by chance, right? Like our friend said, we're not gonna here to talk about sadness today, but sadness is usually the product of when we are going through a lot, isn't it? Or no? Everybody loves to go to difficult times here. Because if you do, we have a problem, right? So the way it is here, that she pointed to us is like how the sadness and the struggle and the difficult times take over sometimes and most of the times of our lives. And the way that we can kind of focus tonight, it's mainly because we are more attached to the difficult things, to the lower tendencies, other than being more positive of the time. And that's why it's easier, that's why it's easier for us to tend over to the sadness instead of be a little bit more uplifting when those difficult times arrive. But we'll get there eventually, because we are here on this planet to also exercise gratitude, right? And to become better people and spirits, because we are. Let me just find myself here, because I saved it somewhere. And now I cannot find where I put it in here. I'm sorry. It's okay. We'll get there. The worst that can happen, it's I'll have to go to my what's that called? My purse in the other room and get it from there. But I think I'll get it. Just right here, guys. Even that, it's a hard time, right? I could just be like, oh my gosh, where is my... No, it's okay. All right, see if it's gonna work now. Is it projecting there, or am I... Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll need the help of my friend to put it in there for me, because it's projecting for me here. But basically, the topic I chose it tonight, it's facing struggles. I chose it not because, it's anything that much personal, but based on a message that I read that touched me really, a lot. And I thought, why not to share with my friends and see if, we can together, discuss a little bit and reflect within ourselves and see what we think about this. Now, when we talk about facing struggle, my first question to you is, who doesn't? Do you know anybody that doesn't have anything going on as far as, ups and downs? We might say that, well, people who are rich, they have no bills to pay, or are healthy, doesn't have any issues, right? Or doesn't have to fight for anything, and everything seems to go so smoothly in life. Not necessarily. The examples are there for us to relate to. But we are not here to talk about other people. We're here to talk about ourselves, to think about ourselves, right? So in this presentation, we're going to talk about this topic, but it was based on the Spirit's book, which I don't recall the question, but it's going to be here. In the chapter 5, Blessed are the Afflicted, from the Gospel according to Spiritism. That's the base of our studies tonight. Now, I have to see where my control here. I'm so lost. It's just a day of the week that I'm usually here on Mondays, but there we go. Okay, so our life, not only our human life, but if we look at nature and everything, it is a struggle, it is a fight, it's a constant process of trying to overcome something, isn't it? Like when you are in the wild, when we were in the wild, many, many billions years ago, as an animal, for instance, and our, creatures is still there, they have to fight to get their food, to survive. So it's not like God just put us on earth and it's a paradise and everybody has everything that they need. No, it is a constant fight. It is a constant movement and activity, as Joanna Giangeli said. To become a blessed challenge is part of the law of progress, that we overcome those challenges, that we go through this good fight in our spiritual existence so we can reach a certain level of evolution. So when we think about a butterfly, for instance, a butterfly goes through a process as well, right? It's not like just from the cocoon, it's just out of nowhere. She goes through all this painful process. We think it's painful, but maybe it's not. It's unnecessary, because if you try to rupture there before she's ready to fly, she's not going to survive, right? I never tried, but that's what I heard. The same thing when we are in our mother's womb. It's a process. You say, well, it's comfortable there because I'm getting food, she knows when I'm hungry and all that. Yes, but we have to remember, as we learn in Spiritism, our spirit, it is part of our reincarnation process. So there is a movement, there is an effort for us to form our physical body and for our spiritual body to attach to matter. So it is not an easy process that happens overnight, right? So life, even in biological meaning, it is a struggle for us to become who we are and also to survive. But it's also part of the law of progress. So there is no life, real life that we know, life as a constant activity that doesn't have, things that we have to overcome, challenges or movement. And that's the main thing we want to see here today. When we say the struggle, let's not think negative. That's not the point of this lecture. I'm not here to bring, let's think about our problems. No, the struggle is a great thing. How we face it, how we fight the good fight for us to become better, how we go through those processes with our chin up, right? So this is what she says in this book, Wake Up and Be Happy. The struggle is a blessed challenge that the law of progress imposes. So it's not a choice. We are to fight for survival, fight for becoming a better person, right? There are challenges to overcome. That's how we grow. So that's not an option. That's the law. Then on question 119 from the Spirit's book, Allan Kardec asked the spirits, could God exempt spirits from the trials that are required of them to reach the first order? Pretty much, let me explain a little bit. If you coming from the first time, you probably didn't heard this yet, or whoever was here heard many times. But what they mean by first order, Allan Kardec brings to us the concept of the three orders of spirits, the main categories. So being the first order, a pure spirit, a spirit just like Christ, right? A spirit that doesn't make any mistakes. It's pure goodness and relative perfection. Then he says about the second order, which are types of good spirits, which are spirits that the goodness is a predominance in their path. And there are spirits, which we are on this category, third order, which is the imperfect spirits, the spirits that are either too stuck in the evil, or spirits that are making efforts to get out of there, spirits that are trying to improve themselves, but we are still in this category because we are not completely good yet. We are aspiring goodness. We are trying to develop, exercise, practice and things for us to develop virtues later on. So that's why we are in this category. But he asked, okay, could God take us away from all this and just let us go jump to be like Christ? That would be great, right? You guys don't think? Yes. You come one little life here, hanging out, then God said, well, good, you master. So you start in kindergarten, And then the next year, you earn a PhD. Does that make sense to you? No, right? So that's the question, because he was curious about it. And the answer was, if they had been created already perfect, they would not deserve to enjoy the benefits of that perfection. Where would the merit be without the struggle? So that's why it's part of the law of progress. So God is not there, trying to beat us up for us to go through difficult things, or for us to fight for everything in life, for us to be pushed to get our degrees and get a good job, because you just want to just laugh at us and see that what we are doing, it's okay. Why this person is doing this and this person is doing that? No, there is a purpose. What would be the merit if we didn't need to do anything? It wouldn't even be in God's justice, because I would see that person that is born today without an arm and a leg, and have a perfect and healthy body. Where is the justice? So there is a path that we all go through based on what? In our choices, of course, because besides that, we have free will, which is also part of this law. So God allows us to choose the path that we want to go in. Now, his path is always through love. It's always through love. But what happens in the middle of the way, we deviate a little bit. And that's when things becomes a little harder. So what are we trying to do when we face the struggle? We're trying to get back on track. Do you guys agree with me or not? Right? So it's not a punishment. It's not something, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be good. My life is screwed up. No, we are trying to come back to the path that we should never, ever left. But we made choices. So now, sometimes the choices now, there are harder consequences for that. But this is all part of the teaching. This is all part of the growing. It's not never a punishment to ourselves. Right? Are we there with me yet? Is that good? Everybody on page? Because if it doesn't make sense to you, please let me know, because we have a few issues here. I am a bilingual person, so you might not understand what I'm saying. And the second of all, it might just not sink in. So just let me know. Now, move on. Joanna de Angelis on this message pointed out to us that there are many struggles that are created on earth, because we have the impression that the things that I'm going through, because everything in life I have to look for, everything in life looks like it's difficult for me to get it. Everything looks like it's always closed. I always have to start from the rock bottom and try it again and again. She said that there are some sort of situations that we started on earth, meaning one of them, we pay too much attention to transitory assets. Nobody is condemning any money or things that we want. We want to have a great car. We want to have a beautiful house. If everybody here was rich, we would love to have good things, okay? That would be a hypocrisy that I would say, oh no, let's just keep it simple. No, we want things. The problem is that when we put the meaning of this to overcome our spiritual values, that's when the problem comes. So there are struggles. People today are struggling because they wanted to fight and struggle to have the best car of the year. So they're going to do that. So they go through a lot. I know people, I don't know here in the US it happens, but in Brazil, there are some families that when I was growing up, we hear conversations, right, from our parents, that people were eating like egg with bread for 6 months, for years, to get the car of the year. And they're okay with that, just to show their neighbor that they have the best car. If that's the struggle you're looking for, free will, right? So she says that there's also, some situations where we are putting in an environment of oppression. So we live in a world where materialism predominates, right? Where people think that the power is money, and they are going to do everything to push others down to get what they want. This is the world that we live in. This is reality. But that doesn't have to be our reality, right? We don't have to blend with this. We don't need to be part of that. But there are some individuals, they are doing this, and this is their struggle. Their struggle is to be powerful. I'm not going to talking about politicians here. That's not the point. We could be a CEO in a company. He or she is going to step on everybody's foot and everybody's head to get what they want. That's their struggle. That's their fight. That's what they're looking for, right? So this is what she calls the earthly one, people that manipulate to destroy nations. That's what they fight for. And that's where they are going to what? Pay the consequences for that action later on, right? Because everything that we are destroying, the law of destruction is a law. But who has the right to destroy? To renew? Only God. We don't have that right. So everything that we put it down, that we destroy because of our ego, because of things that we want, or to push somebody down, this is something that we're going to respond later on. We're going to, right? But another thing that she also says, it's like we spend so much time and energy in facing those struggles for us to, how can I say, enjoy temporary pleasures. So, for instance, I think this is going to be a very easy one, but let's just put an easy situation. You work the whole year to go get your vacation of your dreams, right? And you forgot everything. You don't eat anything that whole year, don't go to any restaurant, don't do anything. It's up to you if that sacrifice is worth it. But if you look back in that year, you might think about, wow, I really wanted to go to that vacation, but I lost so many get-together with friends. I lost so many opportunities to do other things, and those moments are not coming back. So that's something we have to kind of measure and see, where am I going with this? Where I'm putting my energy towards? It's okay if we want to do it, but we have to keep that in mind. The job of my dreams, but the job of your dreams are taking the time from your family, from the children that God trusted you with. We have to think about that. And I'm not here to condemn anybody, but this is about choice, right? So what she wants to call our attention is, what is the importance we are giving to earthly things? What is our fight, pretty much? Now, there is this other situation, which is the good fight. Now, this is really the hardest one, because material things, if you think about it, if you are rich, you'll get what you want, right? That's no problem. But here, it's what we really get into it, because that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter who you are. At some point, we are going to have to find ourselves and deal with who? Ourselves. That's law. This is how we are. We are individuals. Although we reincarnate amongst people that help us, that support us, at the end of the day, we are going to be accounted for ourselves. Nobody will. Not your mom, not your children, not your husband, because we are always pushing through my life situation and somebody else's, right? I fight this, I struggle with this because of my family. I struggle to give you guys the best that I can, and this is what I get in return, right? We're gonna see a little bit about this. But so the self-discovery part, she said, there is a hard time, there is a, struggle, a challenge when you decide to do good. Let me ask you, when you decided to come to the center, and I can see, I don't know about you guys, but I hear from many, many people, when you try to come to a place like the center, or to a church, whatever that will make you feel good, when you get out of a situation that you know is not being good for you, and you want something new, you want to feed your soul with something positive, Is it easy? Is it easy? No, right? People get sleep, somebody always call, the work always schedule me. It's always something. It's always something. But this is to give a very simple example. So she says, but we are tired, overloaded, exhausted in the fight generated by evil people. So sometimes we don't even try to do good because we're like, this world is a mess. People are evil. Look at those crimes on TV. I can't do anything to change this. So I'm going to live my own life and just forget about it. Let them deal with it, right? Sometimes we just think this world is upside down. There is no fix for this. And then she said, we get to a point where we are tired of the oppression, of the way that the world runs. And we struggle to do good because it's really hard, my friends. I don't know about you, but it is really hard in a work conversation in a cafeteria when somebody is talking about a colleague that's not present. You and I say, hey, let's just not talk about that person. He or she's not here. Isn't that easy to do that? For some, it's not. Especially if it's your boss talking about it. What are you going to do? You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can join the conversation and say, oh, let me tell you more that I know about that person. Or you can do what? Get fired if you say something, sometimes. But you can silence and stop right there. Nobody can force you to speak, right? Even if the person say, tell me what you know about that person, we have the right to say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable about saying about anything. And that's it. But not, sometimes we fall through this, right? So she says, it is a struggle to renew our feelings when they are pessimistic toward goodness. It is hard, especially when we have in those days, right? It is hard to acquire what she calls eternal assets when we are so attached to matter. So it is hard to say no to that party or to that trip when I already have a workshop or a seminar planned in my institution or at the center. And I'm like, you know what, I can't do this date because I have a commitment with this charity, with this institution, whatever it is. It is hard to say no to those tempting things. It is very hard. And then another aspect is how the struggle is to improve our character. We are not, I don't know about you guys, but we are not polite all the time. We are not gentle all the time. We are not, I don't say good because we're not good at all, but we don't have that movement toward goodness all the time. Am I wrong? Because if I'm wrong, I'm in the wrong place. I mean, I'm in the right place. You guys in the wrong place. But anyway, to improve our character, it's hard. Like I said, start talking bad about somebody you don't like. Is that difficult? Is that difficult? No, right? Somebody agrees with me. No. Now, start finding something good in that person you don't like to speak about it. It is hard, isn't it? Oh, no. I'm talking about from your heart. Not because somebody's telling you to say so. No, from your heart. It's hard. You revert that feeling and come out with something positive. Right? And this is for everything in life. So it is difficult to develop intelligence. Although many people think they are the top, the last Coke in the desert, right? That's not enough. Intelligence alone doesn't make you a good person, right? So it's a struggle to develop the intelligent and at the same time to do what? To elevate our attitude, our action. Especially when we are so smart that we take pride and let our ego turns in and move our lives and just go on top of the others and say, I'm the one that knows the stuff here. It's already right, but I'm not condemning intelligent anyhow, because a person like Jesus Christ was a spirit, pure, relative pureness, and he was the master. He knew all the science, he knew all the medicine, he knew everything, but he didn't come here to humiliate us. So one day we are going to become a brighter spirit, a pure spirit. But when we reach that level, we are not going to use our intelligence to mistreat others. To do, when I say we, I'm not saying only we here. I'm saying in the humanity, right? As the degree that, the spiritual degree that we are in. So she says that it is a struggle with this self-discovery process, because, not everyone is direct themselves towards the goodness, towards things that are going to bring them spiritual values. So it's easier for us to deviate from that path than call. Because what? Because it's harder. It is harder. I mean, just give you a quick example. How difficult it is for you and me to go through a course, something new you have to learn for work, or, some test that you have to study, or turn it on Netflix. Nothing against Netflix. I love it. I cannot say what I watch on Netflix, but I don't know if it's appropriate. Nothing bad, but I don't want to know, But it's easier to turn on Netflix, isn't it? Than go and get that huge book that you have to study for your chemistry test. But our spirit is not thinking, you know what? This is the future ahead. I have to go through this struggle, to this smashing process to have a result. We wanted the immediate things, the immediate pleasure, right? There's nothing wrong for us to do that, but we have to think about the self-discovery process as well. But my friends, this struggle is real, isn't it? Isn't life like an ocean like that, with the waves that are not so friendly sometimes, like calming waves? And thank God, the ocean of our lives, it's not too calm all the time. I don't know if you guys I love the West Coast much more than the East Coast. I love the waves, but not so much. And I love the West Coast, but at some point I'm there, I'm like, okay, there's no movement in that. So you stay 1 hour, you stay 2 hours, and it started getting a little boring. It's beautiful, but it started getting a little boring. In an ocean like that all the time is also not comfortable, right? With a lot of movement. So we have to find a balance. But the question that Joanna de Angelis asked us is, what is our fight? Because like we saw in the beginning, there are struggles on earth. So we are facing situations right now that we put ourselves into it. And we didn't realize that. What is our fight? Is our fight the one that is leading us to chaos, to negativity, to temporary matters? Or we are really facing things to get ourselves better, to improve ourselves, to improve our knowledge, to improve our character, and things like that. So she says that it's very important that we learn how to distinguish where we are putting ourselves into it. What's our fight? Because I have a choice. I can fight over little things and make my life a hell based on that little conversation. Or I can spend my energy in something greater that right now it's hard, but later on, I know it's going to be good for me and for the other around me. Because we have to also remember that not always what is good for me, it's what God has in mind for me, and he knows much more than all of us what is good for us, but we have to try. And not necessarily what is good for me is going to affect others positively as well. So we have to think about that. But the fight here that she wants to bring is that some situations we cannot avoid. This is fact, right? You have an illness, you have a hardship, you have a hard time in your family, you cannot avoid that. This is life. But she also says, but there are many that we go through by choice. It all depends the way that we think and act during that time. So if I'm in this ocean here, I can have a few thoughts. I'm gonna die. This is the end. I can pray. I can see, oh, I think I see somebody wearing red coming my direction. Might be the bodyguard. So it's my choice. The struggle is there. The situation is going on. But it's my choice how I live that process. That's the thing. Because the process is going to happen. That's no choice. We are going to be in moments in life where we see and feel ourselves in an ocean like that, with violent waves. And we have to be prepared for that. But that doesn't mean that it's the end. That doesn't mean it's the end. And we're going to see this in a little bit. So she also says we should fight and get the good out of it. So when we think about situations that we went through, we can say, when I passed through a test, when I was able to get into college, it was hard, it was painful. But look, I got a degree, I got a profession, this is great. When you really have your accomplishment, do you really think about the nights that you had to study, all the boredom, all the parties you didn't go? You don't. Because this is great. This is the product of my effort, right? But when we are going through the process, it's a pain. It's a mess. I didn't have a pregnancy, but I hear from women saying, being pregnant, it's not something wonderful for everybody. But once she holds the baby, she doesn't remember the sickness, the stuff they went through. It's all gone because that's the outcome. And it's hard for us to see ahead. This is the problem. Why? Because we don't trust in something that's bigger than us. That's why. So strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. So what we are going through today is going to develop us for tomorrow. We wanted to know what we're going to be in the next life. It's what we're doing now. There's no secrets for God. We wanted to know what we did in the past life. It's what we are living now. It's the result of what we lived. There is no secret. Now, that's up to us, right? The gospel, according to Spiritism, which is the chapter that I went to look at it, there is a blessed are the afflicted, the item 19. I recommend you guys go check it out. It's called Evil and Its Remedy. And it looks like, oh, so I have to love what I go through that I don't like. No, that's not the point. The Spiritist tells us that when we are on the other side of life, before we reincarnate, we are, most of us are able to choose our trials, to choose situations that we have to undergo when we go back here. And when we are there, when we are making our plan, we believe that we are strong enough to overcome. We all made a plan. So if me and you were going to situations right now that we're like, I cannot handle this, I can tell you, yes, we can. And without any politicians involved, yes, we can. Because most of us, if we either didn't choose ourselves, we had a very higher evolved spirit on top of us who loves us, that in the name of God, help us to make this plan. And they don't make the plan to failure. They make the plan for success. So we can do it. We all can. Now, they always says, struggle in body and soul against moral and physical evil. So we knew that. We knew that when we come back here, we are going to have some setbacks. It will be hard morally and physically speaking for some. Because you knew that the harder the trial, the greater your victory would be. So when we are on the other side of life, we're like, yes, send me this because I can handle it and I want to become better this time. Because when we go back there, they're going to say, Sabrina, look at this. From the 50 items, you barely completely 10, and the other ones you touch, you screwed up a little bit. Let's redo it. Yes, let's redo it. I'll do 25 this time. Wow, maybe it's a little bit too much. Okay, 20. But sometimes we don't hear, no, give me everything. Then we come back, and it's harder, but we are not alone. That's the point. And here they said, we knew it, and we accept it because we know we can do it. Nobody, my friends, reincarnate to fail. This is not in the plan of God. We do not go back to this planet to be, put down, to be in complete sadness. No. If this is happening, there is nothing that happens. There is no effect without a cause. And we know that. There's free will involved. There are things that we planned before that now needs to germinate in a different way. And it is about us to reap. But God gives us the choice through love. Always. We have to think about that. If we are dealing with a difficult person, evil and fighting is not the only choice. But you can say, well, but I cannot hug that person. Nobody's saying about hugging or living together. Respect. Not even wishing evil is already a great thing. It's great. It's a great start, right? So she also says that it's not that in this gospel according to Spiritism, when we talk about this, that we have to embrace our suffering, embrace the things that are happening that we don't like, and think, okay, so let me just sit down this ocean, wait for God, and see where this is going to take me. That's not the point. The spirits are not saying for us to, oh, that's great, this financial hardship, I love it, and that's the way it is. No, we have to fight. We have to look forward to make a difference. No, it's not a process of accommodation. Okay, well, you're saying that I made the plan. Well, the plan is here, and then what? Now you change the plan because there is free will. There's ways of doing it. Even sometimes that we came programming to do something, and in this life you said, you know what? I can't make this. I cannot do this. And you and I are going to be assisted. But what do? We desperate. And this is the problem. So the spirits are telling us, march on, continue on, because you all can do it. You all can go through this. You all know what's about to come and what you can do it. We all do. Now, we can change. A lot of things we can change, like many things we cannot. But there's a lot that we can change. It's a product of our free will, our own choices. So when we are in the midst of this, this process, sometimes we have a hard time because we think, am I just struggling? This is a process that is hard that I have to go through, or I'm just failing. I consider myself a failure or somebody that, I can make this happen. It's going to cost me a lot. It's going to be a lot of energy involved, but I'm going to face this the best way I can. Because there is also, my friends, a situation where enough is enough. We have a limit to go, but that doesn't mean we're not going to do anything. So in this case, when we say about being struggling or failing, it's like awaken to our self-enlightenment. Plan A didn't work. Plan B, C, D. God doesn't limit himself in the alphabet. Why should we? Right? The struggle is a blessing. When we don't go through these situations, we don't develop strength. Remember the first question there. Where would be the merit? Where would be the spiritual progress if God doesn't allow us to go through some hard times or through situations that give us work? And let's not just think about hard times and something negative, something that brings sadness. That's what we spoke at the beginning. Things, because it's hard to move forward. Because we wanted to be in that Key West Ocean, right? The West Coast Ocean all the time. And then sometimes the wave is going to come and we don't want to move because it's more comfortable, of course. But it's only this movement that will push us toward goodness, that we're going to develop skills, that we're going to, try our best. That's the key. It's not going to be blue and beautiful all the time, but our best has to be tried and keep the peace of mind and the harmony when we go through the process, which is hard. Prayer can help us. Talk to a friend that hopefully is in a situation better than yours, because you don't want to put yourself even more down, right? We talk to negative people. So somebody that can help to get an uplifting mentality, but doesn't count on the person to solve your problems and my problems, because we have to deal with our situation. People assist us, sustain us, support us, but at the end of the day, this is our fight. We need to remember that, all of us. So the spiritual growth, right? The fight, the resources that we find when we go through a lot, we look back and say, wow, I don't even know how I make it, but I made it through. That's the beauty of the process. When we are going through, it's hard. But if we are not struggling, we are not learning. And science confirms that. Even our brain only learns through trial and error. Why the spirit would be different? If you don't make a mistake, you won't be able to learn. If you always do right, you're not learning anything. And that's not the purpose of life, right? So we are going to make mistakes. People are going to screw up on us. But that's the beauty about forgiveness. That's the beauty about seeing ourselves in that process, which is not a condemnation process, right? So to wrap up slowly here, what do we do when we are facing those struggles? What do you guys think? We said about prayer, but what else? Any ideas?
Be thankful.
Be thankful, right? Yes, one of the topics, yes. So first thing, grow towards God. Oh, how do I do that? Well, let's think. If you don't believe in God, it doesn't matter. Let's think about future life. Nobody here is trying to convince him to believe in anything. But life goes on. You want it or not. You believe in a God or not. Reincarnation is a law. The spirit is immortal. Life goes on. So try to live our lives towards the future life, not the future material things, the spiritual future life. Then it's going to be a little more smoother, our path. Because I will be less attached to matters and struggle and energy that doesn't bring me much when I cross this bridge. And then it will be alleviating a lot of my struggle. Next one, do not turn your fight into an instrument of torment for yourself or others. So sometimes we are just like lamenting the process and complaining and revolting and passing through others, when in reality, we should be grateful for, like our friend said, right? We should be grateful for, we should see that as a process of self-enlightenment. Talk to God. Why am I going through this? What do you want to teach me? Instead of say, why you abandoned me, the poor me mentality. No, God, I'm in the midst of nowhere, to say lack of a better word. Why I'm here, this is not the point. How I get out of this. Because I don't know how I put myself into here. I need your help to get out of this. Please show me the way. Give me the strength to get out, because God is also not going to solve our problems. He's going to make the movements when we activate our faith and our strength to move forward. That's when he comes. But he's already working for us in the background. So seek to be at peace without trying to exceed limits or embrace ventures beyond your reach. This is like the main thing, right? A lot of people going through a lot in life because I'm trying to embrace more than I can. Let's just not put in material stuff, but even the things that we do in life, relationships with people, right? We have to know our limits. We have to try a lot, of course, do our best. But there is a point where we want to hold the whole world in our hands, and we can. We are very small. We cannot hold our whole family. We cannot solve everybody's problem. So we have to know what is my fight and what is our neighbor fight. Be there to help, stand a hand, but this is not the point. What is our fight? Am I going too much in that relationship? I'm giving too much, forgetting about myself? Let's think about it. Because at the end, it's going to be us. And this is not selfishness. This is self-love. Love one another, right? That's the command. Love one another as you love yourself and God. So the yourself sometimes stay out or stay too much into that and forget the others. So there is to have a balance, right? We're missing that balance. So try not to exceed the limits. We have to learn what else we can, what the point that we can go, right? We go over too much sometimes. Try to embrace ventures like, I even gave that example. I wanted to run a marathon. And guess what? I'm not a sports person. I hate PE at school. I would just fight and say that I have stomachache every single day. At 46-year-old, can I go run a marathon? I can. It's going to be hard? It's going to be easy? No. Oh, no, but I have to run. Well, it's not going to happen in a month. But sometimes, no worry, I'm going to do it. 46 years old, I never did it, but I'm going to do it now. No, you're not. We have to take it easy and understand where we can go. It's a process. And maybe in 5 years, I could run, right? Not that I want to. I could, if I work for it. But it's not an instant process. I wish it was, right? But it's not. What to do when we face? Continue on. Turn to reality. Sometimes we are living in a la-la land, right? Running away from our life. Run away from ourselves. We are the masters of avoidance most of the time. Let's go back to our reality. Reality of ourself, reality where our material environment is, because sometimes we also want to leave what the neighbor is, what my coworker is, the life my coworkers have, the vacation that they take. It's about us. It's about us, right? Because if we're trying to live somebody else's reality, we are going to be really depressed, really down, really unhappy, more than we could be. So embrace life as it is rather than as you wish it should be. Like our friend says, gratitude. Oh, but it's not good enough. Well, what is good enough? Who knows what's good enough? Maybe what we think is good for us is not the best for us. We have to strive for goodness, of course, to get what we want, to move forward, to study, to do things that we want to do, to have a hobby, to travel, to do everything that we want, of course. But let's just not lament. It is what it is. Oh, I don't have that bank account to go to Paris, or neither am I. My dream is to go to Paris, and I can't afford. Am I going to give up? No, I didn't give up yet. But it's not the end of the life. But for some people, if they don't do what their coworker did, life is a hell. So we have to think about this every single day. Embrace what we have in our hands, right? And be grateful. Practice gratitude. Oh, I don't have nothing to be grateful. Oh, you don't. Yes, you do, because all of us are sitting down here today. I know people that doesn't come to the center because they cannot sit down in this chair due to their illness. I know a person today that I found out that is going to amputate a leg after 5 surgeries after a car accident. So guess what? We have to be grateful. We have reason to be grateful. My life is a hell. Well, we all have problems, but there is somebody out there that is worse than us, right? And gratitude is not only for us. That expands to everybody around us because we start to develop what? Compassion. It's not only my problem. Look at your neighbor. Oh my goodness, this lady is going to amputate her leg. And I have my 2 legs here today. My day was a hell, but hey, I have my 2 legs. This is great, right? Pay close attention to your feelings, even the painful ones. Sometimes we just wanted to get attached to the happy times, the happy hours of life. But it's necessary to look inside ourselves and see where is the hurt, why I cannot look at that person, why the situation at work, it's affecting me that much. Why I'm feeling jealous about my cousin, my friend that got a new job. It is important to analyze that. We all go through this. We all have those shadows. They are not a bad thing. We have just to recognize them, to work. Because it's important in this part of here, because when you are at peace with yourself, okay, I'm jealous, I'm pessimistic, I'm rude. Okay, you're not going to cross your arms, so that's great. No, I'm all this. It's great that you recognize that you are, and I am. Let's do better. Let's pay attention to those. I'm selfishness. I'm very selfish. Excuse me. We all are in different degrees. That's great you recognize you are. I'm not a selfish person. Yes, you are. In a certain degree, we all are. And it's okay, right? To say the least. But this one here is the one that didn't have anything to go through, but was placed in the cross. What about us? Right? And not here to make that everybody to be depressed or anything like that, but let's think about this. We have a lot, and life is a bliss if we compare it to this. We have to think about the great things that happen in our lives, not only the setbacks. So he said that in this world, we would find trials and tribulations. That wouldn't be easy. That was never the promise. Go back to earth. It's a bliss all the time. It's a paradise. You guys were just hanging around in the West Coast. They say there will be waves. There will be hard times. But hey, I made it through, and you can too. That's the message. Because if we live the life of a happiness that never happens to me, we are going to be frustrated because the tribulations are going to come, the hardships are going to come, and we have to be prepared for them while enjoying the happy times, because they always are present as well. Sometimes we don't really look into them because we just focus on the problem, but we have great times in life as well that we should, like our friend said, be grateful for it. The happy moments. My life was difficult today, but I got up in bed. I was able to have a nice meal. This is great. How many doesn't have anything? And move on, one day at a time. Who are parents here know it's a one day at a time, right? So one day, right? 1 second at a time. So let's remember, dear friends, God is bigger. I don't believe in God, whatever. The force of the universe, whatever you want to call. There is something out there that's bigger than you and me. You believe it or not. That moves all the universes, the multiverses, and all these conversations that we hear around is not only one anymore. So there's something bigger out there. In that case, whatever the struggle, as we discussed, God has equipped us to overcome. Because again, we did not come here to fail. We didn't. Sometimes we will make mistakes, have setbacks, but that was not the purpose. Now, what we have a choice. Attempt to remain in peace during the harsh times, knowing that it shall pass, knowing that I have to do everything that I'm capable for to do my part and let God do his part. Because if I also try to fight alone, it's going to be harder. Although we will never be alone, but if I have the mentality of self-sufficient mentality, we are going to be in a hard shape. So let's do our parts and let the bigger overcome the rest and move the waters of our lives so we can have a better transition on earth and come back in a better situation and give the best of us for everybody that we meet. We are not perfect, we are not good enough, but a little bit that we already acquired, we are able to give, even if it's our silence, a prayer, something. So when we get out of ourselves a little bit, we are going to see the waters of our ocean be a little bit more smoother. So I hope that the message have touched your hearts a little bit as it touched mine when I read it. And thank you very much for your attention.